Welcome to Gonzaga Nation SI. I'm your host, Dan Dickau, alongside two of our journalists on our Gonzaga Nation SI site, Cole Forsman, Asher Ali. Today's a big day. It's a fun day. We are going to do our first of what we hope to be our annual mock draft. So before we hit record, there was a secret rock, paper, scissors game. Cole Forsman was the champion. He took first. So he will select first, followed by myself at 2. Asher Ali will be picking 3. So that will be the order continually through the 10 selections that we each will make. We're making up the 30 picks in the first round. So without further ado, Cole Forsman, you are on the clock.
Oh, geez. We go back and forth on this. I think for the first overall pick, I got to go with Chet Holmgren for the Orlando Magic. He just has the highest ceiling of anybody in this top 3 range between him, Jabari Smith, and Paolo Banchero. You know, he's a great defender, right off the rip, excellent shot blocker. He's got handles and 3-point shooting that, we just don't see a lot from college 7-footers. So I think he makes sense for Orlando, who really needs a star here. Number 1, and Chet has the highest ceiling of them all.
Awesome to see. It's going to be fun to the pairing of former high school teammates as well as former Gonzaga players in Orlando. Cole Forsman goes with Chet Holmgren, which brings me to the number 2 pick. I know Jabari Smith's been talked about it. This is the number 1 pick by a number of analysts, but I can't get away from Banchero ahead of Jabari Smith. I would have taken Holmgren at 1, just like you, Cole, but I would have put Banchero ahead of Smith in any of my mock projections, and that's why I'm going to take Paolo Banchero at the 2nd pick in the NBA draft for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Next up, Asher Ali.
Yeah, so with the 3rd pick, then Dan, I appreciate you taking Paolo there at 2, because I think that makes the Rockets' lives a lot easier at 3. They get to go with Jabari Smith Jr. out of Auburn. The things that they're lacking right now, especially after trading Christian Wood, is defense and like on the inside in particular. Jabari brings that. He's a pretty formidable defender when he needs to be, and then he's also a good scorer that could work well off of Jalen Green. I know that Jaden Ivey, a lot of people have him as the top guy in this draft, but it just doesn't make sense taking him alongside Green in the backcourt. So Jabari Smith at 3 is the perfect fit for the Rockets.
There you have it. Number 3, Jabari Smith to the Rockets. Back on the clock, Cole Forsman.
I get dealt another tough hand here with the Kings, who could possibly trade out of this pick. It's very well rumored. For me, I think it's between. I think I'm going to go. I think I got to go Jaden Ivey here. I know it's a guard and it doesn't quite make sense for the Kings, but just for the sake of this, explosive athlete, a lot of John Morant in him. He's great off ball too. And I think he, just star power wise, is the best on the board here for the Kings, who again could trade out. But I'm going to go Jaden Ivey here.
I agree with you. I think he is the 4th pick. And I also agree with that comment about the Kings maybe trading that, because they are guard heavy all of a sudden. So that brings me to the pick 5, the Detroit Pistons. They got versatile player a season ago in the backcourt, Cade Cunningham. I'm going to go with Keegan Murray. He's another versatile. I can't really call him a 3, can't really call him a 4, but he can do a little bit of everything. He's got good size at about 6'9" or so. I think you pair those two together, you've got some opportunities to have some improvement this upcoming year. So I've got Keegan Murray at 5 going to Detroit from Iowa.
Awesome. At number 6, that is the Indiana Pacers. And I'm going to take the absolute wild card of the lottery here. I'm going to take Shane Sharp with the 6th overall pick from Kentucky, even though he didn't really play there. Sharp is just probably one of the greatest raw talents we've seen in the last 5 years in the draft. So, and the Pacers are in a perfect spot to take him, because they're definitely in rebuilding mode. They're in no rush to get back to the playoffs after trading Domantas Sabonis. So they can develop him alongside Tyrese Halliburton and Halliburton, I know, is a guy that they want to shoot the ball more, but now with Sharp there, they can kind of work off each other really well. Sharp has a beautiful 3-point shot, especially step back. So, let him create for himself, let Halliburton create for him. And that could be a really strong core in a couple of years.
I like the pick. He's got a ton of potential. He's one of those guys that not very many people know enough about, but that is a gamble at 6. I like your confidence there. So back to Cole Forsman at number 7, the Portland Trailblazers.
Portland Trailblazers. Dame needs a lot of help. Again, another team that could probably trade out of this pick if they want a more established veteran. I'm going to go AJ Griffin here. I'm debating between him and Dyson Daniels, but I think Griffin for me is just overall could fit well next to Dame. He's a good 3-point shooter. He's a smart player off the ball. He knows when to cut. He can relocate very well. 20 years old. I know he's not the greatest defender next to Dame, but overall, I think his offensive skill set, he's somewhat of a playmaker himself. I think he'd fit in well with Portland at this spot.
AJ Griffin to the Blazers per Cole Forsman. Next up is the 8th pick, the New Orleans Pelicans. That's my selection. This is a tough one. There's lots of different directions that I can go. I think the biggest wild card for that franchise is Zion Williamson ever going to be healthy? And is he ever going to give you more than, 50 games a year to allow them to gel and make a playoff run? But I'm going to go Benedict Mathurin at Arizona. I have had a chance to watch him in person a number of times. I've seen growth in his game over the last 2 years. To me, I think he might have the best potential, to be an all-star outside of those top 4 picks.
Yeah, definitely. I think outside, like Mathurin falling even that far is, it may not be the case. He's definitely a guy who people are looking for to take early. So, but next, I believe with the 9th pick, I have the San Antonio Spurs, and I'm gonna go with I'll go with Ousmane Deng, from the French player from played in New Zealand this last year. I love his play style. He is such a smooth 3-ball for a big. He's, you talk about his conventional stretch big. He is that for sure. And the Spurs lacked, comprehensive scoring last year. They had a lot of scoring in their backcourt, but not much in their front court. And Ousmane brings that. So looking for him to bring a lot of to complement, guys like DeJounte Murray and Lonnie Walker really well. So I think that could be a really good pairing there in San Antonio for Coach Pop.
I like it. There's been a lot of players that have come out of the Australian League and had success in recent years. And who knows, Dieng may be the next one. So good pick. Back to Cole.
Yeah. Wizards on the clock here at number 10. I think it's important to get Bradley Beal someone in that backcourt with him. I'm gonna go Dyson Daniels with this pick here. He isn't the best shooter, but I think there's a lot of Josh Giddey in his game. Of course, that's obvious comparison given both backgrounds, but Daniels is an excellent playmaker, operates well in the pick and roll, and smart, good, solid defender. He's great with the floater coming off screens. So I think if he could just sort of develop that jump shot at the pro level, I think he'd be a great pairing with Bradley Beal should he stay in Washington.
There you have it. The 10th pick, Dyson Daniels, is who Cole Forsman projects. I got the 11th pick, the New York Knicks, a player I didn't know a lot about until I started diving into some of these draft profiles. And a lot of it is because he was quiet at the start of the year as a freshman, but he really came on as of late. He's got great size for a 2-3. Malachi Branham from Ohio State. I really like his game. There's been talk about him creeping up because, he kind of came out of nowhere. People were looking at him late. So I've got Malachi Branham at 11 to the Knicks. Asher Ali, you are on the clock.
Yeah, so back on the clock with the 12th pick, the Thunder come back up. And after having taken Paulo at the 2nd pick, who's definitely a more score-heavy threat, they need to solidify. They're probably going to even solidify that front court even more. I think they're going to lock it down on defense and take somebody that Gonzaga fans are actually familiar with, from this past year's tournament in Jalen Duren from Memphis. He's a great big center, adds size. He has block potential, pick and rolls with, when you have guys like Josh Giddey and SGA, that could really complement each other really well. So I'm going with Jalen Duren for the Oklahoma City Thunder at pick 12.
Jalen Duren is similar game style to Dwight Howard, who give you a little bit of example of how the game has changed. Years ago, Dwight Howard was the undisputed #1 pick. Nowadays, with how the game is played, a guy like Duren and his physical talents and his possible impact puts him at 12. I do like the pick. At 13, Cole Forsman. What do you got?
Yeah, so number 13, I got the Hornets, who also have the 15th pick. So I'm not making 2 picks here, but I'm trying to think of what they could do with the 15th pick as well. So with 13 here, I'm actually going to take Ochai Agbaji out of Kansas, 6'4" guard, next to LaMelo. I think he played really well. He's a good defender. He's improved his shooting over the course of his collegiate career. He can create his own shot, solid enough handle. And so I think if he could become just a more consistent shooter, I think, and improve his finishing at the rim, I think he'd be a great all-around player in Charlotte.
Like the pick, Agbaji. He's a 4-year college player, which is not the norm these days, but I love the trajectory of continuing to improve each year. And then as a senior, leads them to a national title. So great selection. Number 14, I'm on the clock with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Lots of directions that I can go. You still got Johnny Davis on the board. You got Mark Williams at Duke. But the direction I'm going to go is somebody that caught my eye early in the year, and then I kind of went away from really liking his game, and then I watched him closely in the NCAA tournament from Baylor, Jeremy Sochan. Just kind of doesn't back down from any challenge. And as a young player, when you're a one and done and you go into the NBA, you have to have that mindset that there's going to be ups and downs, there's going to be struggles, but you can't back down. And when I watched him closely, that's what I saw, as a player that just doesn't back down. Now, I think there's things he's got to improve upon if he's going to have a lengthy NBA career. But I think that his athleticism, his size, coupled with his kind of competitiveness, is going to give him a chance to be successful. So that's my 14th pick. Next up on the clock with the Hornets at 15, Asher Ali.
Yeah. First of all, 14th pick for Sochan. I think that's a perfect fit in Cleveland. They need that wing depth, and he adds that, and especially defensively too. But with 15, I'm going to add what the Hornets desperately need, and that's a center that can play defense. And I'm going to give them Mark Williams there at 15. They could very well trade this pick. They could try to move on to a more experienced guy who already has league minutes, but Williams makes a whole lot of sense here for the Hornets. He can be that lob threat to pair with LaMelo really well, and then also at the rim on defense protected, which is something they did not have at all last year. One of the worst defensive rated teams. So Williams will at least add to that a little bit. And yeah, that's who I'm going to go with at 15. It's Mark Williams.
Like the pick. He gave Gonzaga's bigs problems when they played in Las Vegas. He's one of those guys that I think his best basketball is ahead of him. His wingspan, I believe, was the longest in the NBA Combine this year. Cole Forsman, you're up next at 16.
Yeah, the 16th pick, I have the Atlanta Hawks. I'm going to go with Tari Eason to improve their front court defense, 6'8" forward out of LSU. He can guard multiple positions. I think it's well known that he's one of the best defenders in the class. He plays really fast, great in transition. He creates a lot of deflections, loose balls, fast break opportunities. And yeah, I know he needs to improve his shooting, but I think that can definitely be improved upon at the next level. And yeah, I like this pick here for the Hawks.
Well, he's definitely got upside. He's a player from anybody in the state of Washington that follows high school hoops, knows the name. Played with Jalen McDaniels at Federal Way before transferring to Garfield. Started his career at Cincinnati. Didn't really do much as a freshman, but then as a sophomore, he burst onto the scene. His numbers kind of trailed off a little bit towards the second half of the year when teams really could scout him, but his intangibles and his athleticism, I think this is a great pick for both him and the Hawks at 16. I've got the 17th pick, the Houston Rockets. Don't don't know what they're doing sometimes with loading up of wing talent. Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr. I think they need a point guard to right the ship because they didn't want to let certain guys play last year. John Wall comes to mind. There's been talk about maybe Russell Westbrook getting traded there. Who knows? I mean, Russell Westbrook could be anywhere next year. We don't know. But I'm going to go with Kennedy Chandler to the Rockets. Unbelievably athletic young point guard. Rick Barnes, I think, does a tremendous job with point guards. He's coached some good ones, namely TJ Ford at Texas. But Kennedy Chandler was as productive of a freshman point guard for Rick Barnes as he's ever had. So that's pick 17. Pick 18, the Chicago Bulls. Asher Ali, the floor is yours.
Man, the Bulls, they have a couple ways they can go with this pick here at 18. With this pick, I think that they're going to take EJ Liddell out of Ohio State. Liddell just is a guy that they need some more wing presence. He brings that for sure. And he can work off of if you even have Zach LaVine coming back, you don't know about Lonzo, so he could fit in there kind of through like 1 through 3, even if you needed him to. And Liddell is definitely a guy who's going to score the rock for them too. I know they need help down low at the center position, but I think Liddell is just best player available at that point. And you take him there at number 18.
I like it. Second Big Ten player taken, both from Ohio State, which makes you realize or think, how come Ohio State wasn't a much better team this past season? So 19th, the Timberwolves. Who you got, Cole?
For the Timberwolves. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Johnny Davis is on the board, correct?
He is still on the board. Yes, the Big Ten player of the year.
I think
and the Taco Bell commercial making him seem like he's the top 3 pick in the draft.
Yes, a very interesting commercial he was in with Taco Bell, but I think this is as far down as he goes. I think the Timberwolves, I think there's some uncertainty surrounding D'Angelo Russell's future there. I think they could use Johnny Davis, just overall high motor, a solid defender, can create his own shot in the mid-range. He likes to use that back down move in the post against smaller guards. If he can become a better shooter, then, I mean, there's no telling what his potential could be for the Big Ten player of the year. So I think the Timberwolves got a good one here.
There you have it. Johnny Davis, 19 to the Timberwolves. So I've got the 20th pick, and it's the Spurs. There's lots of guys that I think could fit well with this, but knowing the Spurs, they always come up with a hidden gem, whether it was Tony Parker or Manu Ginobili years ago, late in or middle of the second round, or DeJounte Murray when others didn't see what they saw. I'm going to go with a WCC product, Santa Clara's Jalen Williams. He impressed me this year when I saw him in person. And when you read the articles and hear the reports about the pre-draft workouts and then the combine, I think he's going number 20 to the San Antonio Spurs. So at 21, Asher Ali, you've got the Nuggets selection.
Yeah, Jalen Williams, I did actually have in my own little mock. I had Jalen Williams going 20 there to the Spurs because I think Pop really likes him. But for the Nuggets at 21, I'm going to go with Notre Dame's own Blake Wesley. That's my guy who I think is just I think he's a talent for sure. He kind of has a little bit of DeJounte Murray in him, especially with his range on defense. He's just so lanky. He can really pick pockets and intercept passing lanes. So I'm going to go with him there. You don't know about Jamal Murray or Michael Porter Jr.'s health, apologies, all the time. And, you kind of need some more depth back there at that wing position. And Wesley definitely brings that. So at number 21, I have the Denver Nuggets taking him.
I like it. He's moved up on a few draft boards. You believe what you're seeing and reading. So Blake Wesley at 21 to the Nuggets. At 22, the Grizzlies. Cole, what is your selection?
Yeah, for the Grizzlies, I'm going to go with a guy who I didn't know a whole lot about before, really diving into this process. I'm going to go with Bryce McGowan's wing out of Nebraska, 6'5". Some say he's like Zach LaVine, just not as hoppy, but he's still a skilled ball handler. He's got potential to be a good shooter, great size, just I think he just needs to come around his playmaking abilities, but I like him here for the Grizzlies, who kind of need that wing help.
Well, there's been a couple interesting selections so far. I think each of the three of us have had one that maybe will surprise a few people, but the Bryce McGowan one, I like that comparison to Zach LaVine. Lots of potential. So I'm up next on the clock with the Sixers at 23. This is a difficult one for me, knowing that I've got the Sixers, because I think Doc Rivers is a tremendous coach. He tries to get his guys to play the right way, but you got a leader in James Harden who doesn't play a lick of defense. And so you need somebody, whether on the perimeter, to take the challenge of the best opponent, or you need a rim protector. I could go Walker Kessler as your rim protector right now. I could also kind of go with the Marjon Beauchamp angle on the wing, but I'm actually going to go Dalen Terry at Arizona. I think he's got a ton of versatility. I think he was underutilized offensively, not through any fault of his own, not through any fault of the staff at Arizona. I think that he's just one of those guys that kind of just blends into what is needed in the roster that he's around. I look at him as very similar to a Matisse Thybulle. And if he's going to go to Philadelphia and learn from Matisse Thybulle, that could be a nice kind of 2-3, wing backcourt for the Sixers. So I've got Dalen Terry going at 23.
Oh, so great. I got pick 24 then with the Milwaukee Bucks. And man, the most glaring thing that the Bucks have standing out right now for them, I think, as far as needs, is going to be a center. Brook Lopez is only getting older. They don't have much depth there to begin with. Giannis can try to spread, try to take up as many spots on defense as he can to guard in the 4, guard in the 5, but you do also need somebody else there to help him out. And I think the perfect help for him, especially defensively, is Walker Kessler from Auburn. It was kind of going back and forth between him and another Arizona player and Christian Coloco, but Walker has a lot of comparisons like a Jared Allen, and maybe Jared Allen with even maybe a little bit more block accuracy. So when you get that in play, I think the amount of teams that Milwaukee's gonna be able to deter in the post is going to be insane once you insert him in the lineup.
I like to pick Walker Kessler at 24 to the Bucks, and I agree with that because Lopez is getting older, and Kessler didn't do much at Auburn didn't do much at Carolina his first year, but his sophomore year he was tremendous at Auburn. With the 25th pick, the Spurs, Cole Forsman, you are on the clock.
Yeah, with the Spurs here, again on the clock, I think with this many picks, you're able to take some risks. I think Nikola Jovic kind of fits that. Spurs like to draft those European guys, and for someone like Jovic, who's an excellent playmaker, can handle the pick and roll game as a ball handler very well. He's still intelligent off the ball, sort of a versatile defender for them, and overall just a developmental guy that I'm sure Pop and his staff would see a lot of potential in him right off the rip. Not the most efficient offensive player right now, but again, that's just room for growth. And I think that's a good spot for him, for the Spurs, who still have a lot of picks.
Yeah, the Spurs, 2 first-round picks, a number in the second round. Charlotte has 2 firsts. The T-Wolves and Memphis also have 2 first-round picks. And the Thunder, they have 3 first-round picks. Sam Presti really staying true to his mantra of stockpiling picks. So at 26, I'm on the clock with the Dallas Mavericks. Man, this one is a difficult one. There's lots of ways that I could go. Ty Washington at Kentucky's on the board, but are they going to re-sign Jalen Brunson? I believe so. So I
wait, Dan, it's the Rockets. The Rockets have this pick now.
They traded it, right?
Yeah, the Mavs traded to the Rockets.
That's right. So the latest is the Rockets own this pick now, because the Mavericks traded it in the Christian Wood deal. I lost that on my notes. So it's the Rockets at 26. So mentioned earlier when I took Kennedy Chandler, I don't think they're going to go with another point guard in Ty Washington. I think you got to go for a 4 or a 5. And with that, the guys that are kind of coming to mind right now, Patrick Baldwin Jr. is kind of more slotted as a small forward. Wendell Moore Jr. the same way. I think that they're going to have to go with somebody on the interior that provides toughness and versatility. And this is going to be a bit of a shock to some guys. David Roddy from Colorado State. He's one of those guys that he's not going to wow you with his numbers, but when you watch him, he does all the little things. He's a tremendous rebounder. He's a quicker, more agile lateral defender than you would expect. Yes, he is a little bit undersized for the 4, but I think his intangibles are going to allow him to make an impact. And so I've got him going at 26 to the Rockets.
Awesome. I love that pick. David Roddy was really fun to watch last year. Even that one tournament game against Michigan, he was definitely a big piece, and it was fun to kind of see him play out. But with 27 for the Miami Heat, Ty Washington's still on the board, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, that's easy money right there. Give me Ty to the Heat. Kyle Lowry, another player that's kind of aging a little bit, but you need a really good facilitator for the Heat. The Heat know this. Jimmy Butler can try to check up all the boxes he wants, but at the end of the day, he can't really run the point super well. But he can score really well. If they can retain Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, that's a lot of scoring on the perimeter. But you need somebody to distribute the ball to them, and Ty has a lot of experience with that in college, getting it to a lot of high volume scores. So give me Ty Washington, also a kid who can create his own shot. So in a couple of years, I think he'd be really vital for Eric Spoelstra.
There you have it. The 27th pick, Asher Ali and the Miami Heat go Ty Washington. Now we each have one more selection in this first round. We're only going to do the first round. There are still some guys that are in the green room that are on the board for us, namely Jaden Hardy, G League Ignite, Marjon Beauchamp, who's also got some Washington ties. A couple other guys that stand out to me that maybe you guys and I have plans to select: Jake LaRivia from Wake Forest, a power forward who can step out and shoot a little bit; Christian Braun of Kansas; Trevor Keels; Peyton Watson; Andrew Nembhard; Wendell Moore Jr. from Duke, a couple that come to mind. So we each have one more pick. You're picking at 28, Cole. It's the champions, the NBA Finals winners, the Golden State Warriors. They really don't have a lot of holes on their roster. So how are you going to improve their roster? Let me see what you got, Cole.
Yeah, for the Warriors, obviously they took James Wiseman. He's had some injury concerns as of late. I think I'm going to go with a guy that you actually didn't mention in there, Christian Koloko, out of Arizona, 22 years old. He was a junior last year. Just still a raw talent. Basketball is still fairly new to him. He didn't start playing it seriously until 15 years old. He's from Cameroon. And yeah, just your prototypical great defensive player, eat up rebounds, good interior scorer. And yeah, someone the Warriors can put in their front court and feel very comfortable about his interior defense and as a lob threat as well. So I think as he develops, as he plays the game more, you'll see his game expand beyond just raw athleticism.
And that's important. And that's something that some of the best front office executives kind of really understand better than others, is the career trajectory and paths for guys that have started playing the game late. And as you mentioned, Koloko didn't start playing until literally 5 years or so ago. So good pick. That puts me on the clock at 29 with the Grizzlies. I'm in a hard spot right now because I really like the potential of Marjon Beauchamp. I like the fact that he's a Washington product. He's from small town Yakima, and nothing ever seemed to 100% go his way at his high school stops. He bounced around a bit. Then he went to community college for a year. Really seemed to put it all together in the G League for the Ignite team. I want to go that direction. I also want to go Andrew Nembhard's direction because I've had a few conversations over the last week with some coaches. I'm not going to name who, but I think Andrew Nembhard's a first-round draft pick. The more I talk to people, so I want to say Beauchamp. I want to say Andrew Nembhard. my Gonzaga ties are gonna put me at selecting Andrew Nembhard at 29 to the Memphis Grizzlies. So that leads us to our 30th and final selection in the first round. Asher, Ali, who you got?
Yeah. Dan, you put me in a tough spot there because I thought you were going to take Marjan. I was like, okay, that's easy. I'm definitely going to take Wendell Moore here. You know, that just works for the Nuggets. They get their nice facilitator and everything kind of works out peach keen. But oh man, now you put Marjan in my lap. It's hard not to take him, even though I did just take Wesley with their 21st pick. So dang, it hurts me to do this because yeah, he is a Washington product, and I love his film. Like, I love watching Beauchamp play for Ignite last year. He did some insane stuff, but I think need wise, I think the Nuggets are going to go with more. You know, they have Bones Highland there at point, but you know, just more depth at point guard position is never a bad thing, and Moore will give you that. So I think with the last pick in the first round. And to Chris in the second round, I believe Wendell Moore will be the player that the Denver Nuggets go with.
There you have it. The final selection in the Gonzaga Nation SI mock draft. Again, fans who are listening that come across this, these are just our selections. Myself, who covers college basketball for a number of different outlets, and then Cole Forsman, Asher Ali have been tremendous as journalists on Gonzaga Nation SI. Well, quick recap. Number 1, Chet Holmgren. 2, Paulo Banchero. 3, Jabari Smith. 4, Jaden Ivey. 5, Keegan Murray. 6, Shaden Sharp. 7, AJ Griffin. 8, Ben Matherin. 9, Ousmane Dieng. 10, Dyson Daniels. 11, Malachi Branham. 12, Jalen Duran. 13, Ochai Agbaji. 14, Jeremy Sohan. 15, Mark Williams. 16, Tari Eason. 17, Kennedy Chandler. 18, EJ Liddell. 19, Johnny Davis. 20, Jalen Williams of Santa Clara. 21, Blake Wesley. 22, Bryce McGowan. 23, Dalen Terry. 24, Walker Kessler. 25, Nikola Jovic. 26, David Roddy. 27, Ty Washington. 28, Christian Koloko. 29, Andrew Nembhard. And 30, Wendell Moore. Cole, Asher, I appreciate you guys being a part of this. Any last thoughts before we log off and enjoy the NBA draft on Thursday?
Yeah, I guess I just want to know like who's still on the board. Who would you guys really like to go with? Maybe with that 31st pick, if you want to take best available. I know Beauchamp's still there, but is there anybody else that maybe catches your guys' eye that you guys really like?
I'll let you go first, Cole, and then I'll throw a couple names out there that I still really like.
Yeah, I think BPA, if you want to go off that, right off Jaden Hardy, just one of the best pick and roll guys in the draft from a scoring standpoint. So I think he would fit in with a lot of teams in that second round, just as, you know, a great ball handler, maybe not the best facilitator, but he can score. He can score at will.
Well, I think a couple of guys that come to mind really quickly that if they get to the second round would be steals, as I think Beauchamp would be one of those guys. I do like Hardy, although I haven't focused a ton on him in film work. I really like Christian Braun at Kansas because he can shoot it so well. And then the other guy that really jumps out to me, Patrick Baldwin with Milwaukee. He was ranked as high as 3 or 4 in his high school class before injuries. And then he had injuries at Milwaukee. Some people really think that he is still a mid first round talent. So it'll be interesting to see where he falls, but those are 3 names that come to mind really quickly for me. How about you, Asher?
Yeah. First guy that sticks out to me besides Beauchamp is somebody else that gave Gonzaga headaches and pretty much ended our season. And that would be Jalen Williams from Arkansas. The 6'10" big man is, I think, his play style of getting in the paint, and he's really good at drawing offensive fouls when he's on defense, and then he's also really good in the post. So he could be a lob threat for whoever needs him. He's also has a decent little mid-range game, so he could definitely be more versatile for a team. And then Caleb Houston from Michigan was kind of also like an X factor in this year's draft, because I don't believe he participated in the combine. He opted out of it. But he has just a lot of like young, raw, athletic talent, only a freshman. So I think that he also has a lot of plus sides, a lot of upside to him for this year's draft.
Awesome. Well, great stuff from both of you. I appreciate you joining me on the Gonzaga Nation 2022 mock draft. It's going to be fun, like I said, watching this draft all play out on Thursday. Best of luck to the Gonzaga players, Chet Holmgren, Andrew Nemhart. Thanks again for joining, guys, and we'll catch you soon.